welcome back to our channel. My name is Shay. I'm a full-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari.
I'm Tyler, part-time seller on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark.
In today's video, we are going to be talking about all of the conspiracy theories regarding the Poshmark algorithm, what people are saying, why they are saying it, all that type of stuff.
I just realized that we missed a huge opportunity to wear some tinfoil hats.
So we did a video, and I will link that up here, basically giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to get your listings seen with this new algorithm. But it seems like the topic that is on everyone's mind is why Poshmark is doing what they're doing. So we wanted to kind of just go through some of the theories that are out there and, you know, what they're saying and how we feel about them.
Hopefully you find this helpful so that you can decide for yourself which ones are believable and which ones are bogus.
Yeah. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure that you stay. We will be talking about the big data one that everyone is talking about, so stay tuned. But before we get into it, you have a shirt.
I do have a shirt. It's every snack you make, every meal you bake, every bite you take, I'll be watching you. And that definitely personifies every dog, and our dog especially, but all dogs.
Yeah, I think so. If you have a dog that fits that, please leave us a comment below. Let us know.
Or you have a dog that doesn't fit that description, I'd be more interested in finding out.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying is make the comment section all about dogs and none of the drama. Yeah, basically. So anyways, you want to get into it?
Let's get started. Number one.
Number one. Okay, so a Poshmark employee, or so they say, came out with kind of their own thoughts from the Poshmark perspective as to why things are happening the way they're happening and what you can do about it. So did you have any quick thoughts before I go into exactly what they said?
I mean, I have my own thoughts, but we'll get into the opinion in a bit.
Okay.
Basically, it comes down to them trying to explain what Poshmark is looking at from an analytics and data perspective and why they made the decision they made and what you can do to try to increase the visibility of your items.
Yeah. So I wrote down a few big chunks that came from this. Now, there was kind of a discussion back and forth, so there is more in there, but this is what I found most interesting. So the first thing that they mentioned was that relevance and shared is kind of what they're trying to marry with this algorithm, which kind of makes sense. I mean, as we had shown in our video, it is just shared for the first two rows, and then it's completely exact match of your search term, and then 3 more rows of just shared, and then exact match. So it does kind of make sense that it would be a marry of relevance and just shared.
I mean, I think we've kind of hammered that home a little bit. I do wish that they would have tweaked it a little bit so it wasn't exactly a verbatim, literal, exact match of relevance and give a little bit of nuance to it,
But that does seem to be the intent, at least from this person who claims that they work for Poshmark. They did speak to inactive closets. I know that a discussion has been going around about if they're going to do this, why haven't they deactivated inactive closets? Because those are being pushed and it's going to create bad buyer experience. And they said that Poshmark has data showing that while a closet may be inactive, if they make a sale, they will come back on, which is, of course, Poshmark's intent is to try and get people to come back on and interact with the app again. I don't know how much data they really have. Again, we don't know if this person works for Poshmark, but if that is true, I could understand why they would want them to come back.
Yeah.
The last thing I did kind of want to mention really fast is that they did say that title and brand would be the most important thing to get your listings seen. They stated that if there is something like we found that short titles is giving you priority ranking, that would be more of a bug versus a strategy long term, which of course, as we had stated, we think that it's probably going to be changing. I don't know if it's a bug or not a bug, not really sure what to think about that, given that it might help casual sellers, which Poshmark themselves said is their hope.
yes.
So I don't know on that, but that's what they stated, so you can use that information how you want to.
So my thoughts on this, I would say that I find this believable. I don't necessarily know if I believe that they are in fact a Poshmark employee, although I'm not going to discount that.
Mm-hmm.
What is very clearly accurate is how the search is currently working, where it has blended the just shared with the exact match of typically a shorter title. So yeah, that's dead on. I do think that trying to pull back in the inactive sellers makes all the sense in the world from a Poshmark perspective, because I believe that if you got a notice saying, hey, you just made $50, mail this out, you're going to go back to the platform. I mean, I would expect a higher return than a lot of the active sellers are probably thinking.
Right.
In that respect. So all of the things line up for me in terms of me believing what they're saying.
Yeah, so for me, whether or not I believe they're an employee or not, I don't know. I haven't seen, I think that they've done more discussions in the past, so people do have more insight on their credibility for that. As for if what they're saying is true, it does make sense. Now, when I say it makes sense, it doesn't mean that I love it. Poshmark is a business of themselves, and they have their own wants and needs based on that business, just like we're businesses and we have our own wants and needs, and they're not always going to align, and we do have to accept that. So for like the inactive closets thing, while yeah, they might really want to pull that buyer in, and from a Poshmark perspective, I totally get it. From a active seller perspective, it's a little bit discouraging because we do worry about bad buyer experience where someone's going to buy from an inactive seller, not get their item, and then they're not going to buy from us. Yeah. And it also is kind of like prioritizing people that aren't putting in the work that we're putting in, and that's kind of frustrating. But again, Poshmark is a business. They can do what they want, and we have to adjust accordingly. So that's how I feel there.
So overall, I think it's probable.
It's probable.
It's probable. All right, number 2. Poshmark going after bots. Now, this has been all over the community. It's been making the rounds. You've been messaged about this, and it's a hot button topic. But bots have been controversial since they've been introduced and violating the terms of service. What the rumor is essentially that Poshmark made this change to specifically target people that are using bots to try to suppress their closets to promote people that are doing things according to their terms of service.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Now, if we were to put any credence on the person who claimed that they are a Poshmark worker, I will say that part of what they said was that while Poshmark is focused on figuring out how to curtail the impact of bots, that is not part of the algorithm. It is a separate initiative altogether. Again, we don't know if that's real, but I wanted to put that out there. But number 2, I think we all need to remember that correlation is not causation. So it is possible that the reason that people are thinking this is because a lot of the people that are speaking out about the algorithm change are large sellers, and many of them are bot users just by nature of the fact that they sell as much as they do. So it's going to seem like the impact is hitting bot users more just because more big sellers are bot users and are vocal.
Right.
So now, is it to say that they're not? I mean, no. Of course, it is against TOS. Poshmark can do this at any time. They can absolutely decide that they don't want bots on their system, and they can absolutely do what they want to change how things work so that it curtails the impact. That's true. I just don't know that we have the data to say that. So I'm putting it as I don't think so. I don't have data for that, and I don't think anybody else does.
So I think it's possible, but not likely. I think that in a perfect world where everyone is making all the sales that they want and Poshmark is making hand over fist money, yes, they're going to go after that and try to start curtailing that. But at the moment, I think that they have bigger issues with the platform's performance, which they have to address. It's kind of like you're not going to fix a stubbed toe if you cut off your hand.
Right.
Like you're going to take care of the bigger problem first and then go after the convenience things second.
And I will probably say this again in the video, but I would like to put a reminder out there that in the Q1 call that we talked about, Poshmark stated that the big sellers are not the lion's share of their profit, which means that they're not the people making the most amount of sales. So it would be strange for them to make an algorithm that's trying to get rid of people because they're making too many sales when they're not making the most amount of sales. Wouldn't seem right.
So I think it's more to do with the tweaks to the algorithm are impacting the more targeted keyword titles and more detailed listings because they've tried to simplify it for the casual seller.
Right.
I think that is where it's coming from. I don't think it has anything to relate to using a bot.
Bot users are likely using more SEO tailored titles because they are full-time sellers and they're trying to get the most out of their business. That's where we're going with that. So that is our thoughts on that one. Again, it's possible, but I just don't think probable. Number 3, hiding big closets.
So this is another controversial thing. We have anecdotal evidence that supports that. You've done a couple experiments with a friend, and for some reason, their listing in their larger closet wasn't making it into the trends room, and you copied their listing exactly, and yours went in because you have a smaller closet than they do. So that would indicate that is possible, but again, again, correlation's not causation. So while that did happen,
It absolutely happened, and I'm not going to say that it didn't. I don't necessarily think the two are related. I think that it's likely there's some kind of weird bug in the system that we don't know about. There is maybe something to do with rolling sales, as we've mentioned before, where, you know, you're on the wheel, you're not on the wheel, and part of that might be showing up as much in search versus not showing up. I don't know. But I don't think it's specific to closet size. I don't. It could be. It's possible. I just don't think that's probable.
And I'm not going to even discount human error. There may be an extra space somewhere that makes it the same listing that's not the same listing in the eyes of Poshmark. I think there are so many factors there in a one-off instance that there's no way to verify it. You'd have to run the numbers on a massive scale and do dozens, if not hundreds of listings and see if there was some truth to that. In addition to that, they are promoting enterprise and business closets that are huge.
Which are huge.
Yeah.
Like huge. Look at Livia. Like, I mean, huge.
I think that in an effort to cater more to that, they probably have tweaked things and broken things in places. But I don't think that it's something that they're intentionally trying to do. No.
So possible, but probably improbable.
Very unlikely, because they're not going to want to stifle somebody's sales.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to go out of their way to make you sell less things.
Yeah. Okay, so the one you guys are all here for, right? Poshmark is selling your data and no longer cares about sales, essentially.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't seen it, I will give you a brief overview, and I will also put it on the screen so you guys can pause to read. So the sum up, right, is basically what they said was that Poshmark is moving to selling data versus prioritizing sales. They basically stated that the big time sellers, their 20% no longer matters to Poshmark, and that instead they're focusing on getting new buyers to get data to then sell, just like Facebook, Google,
every computer platform on the web, on the internet, since the beginning of the internet, basically.
Yes, they stated that the Ambassador 2 was a way to segregate the larger sellers so that they can kind of push them to the side because those aren't their focus anymore because they already have our data, according to them. And what else am I missing that they stated?
Basically that they're in a desperate need for cash, and they're prioritizing this as a quick cash grab to show investors, and that they've cut back on their Google ad revenue to get priority search for SEO and all of those things. And this shows that they don't care about getting the items in front of people for them to buy them. It shows that they are trying to attract people to the platform to then sell their information.
Yeah. So do you want to share how you feel? Or do you want me to share how I feel?
I'll try to be as nice as possible. I think charitably that's very naive to assume that they weren't already doing that. I mean, if you've been using a computer for the last 20 years...
Using a computer? If you've existed in the world.
Yeah, fair. I mean, your phone tracks what you look at. Google tracks what you look at. Facebook tracks what you look at. All of the platforms that you use on an everyday basis are selling your information.
Before the internet, the mail tracked what you were looking at.
Yes.
I mean, your data was sold before your data was considered data.
You can still buy hard copy lists of data for a regional business. Like, that's a thing that's been around forever.
When you sign up for Poshmark, you absolutely clicked through something that enabled them to sell your data. So this is not new. This is nothing surprising, and it would not, I would think, be a large increase in revenue stream for them because they've already been doing it.
I would imagine it's kind of like focusing on the side of fries rather than the main course. Like, it's the bigger money is going to be the sales. And I did the numbers. If they were getting $70 for each
which is
person,
what they stated
in the message and in the post they put out there, they said $70 is the going rate for someone's information. You only have to make $351 to be ahead of your information value. Like that on the platform, you only have to sell $350 for that 20% to be worth more. It's Poshmark.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a few other things in there that I kind of want to bring attention to. They said that they are not spending as much on Google. When asked where they got this information from, they stated that they have an inside source. That's possible. I mean, I don't know this person, so I can't say whether or not they have an inside source. However, you don't pay for Google SEO. So if you've worked in marketing at all, you know that what you pay for is Google Ads. So it will prioritize your items. It'll have a little thing that says ad, and Poshmark may have cut back on that. I don't know about you as a shopper, but I don't often click on the ad one. I usually skip that just because it's an ad. It was put in front of me because it's an ad and I would rather organic results. SEO is something that people do full time. It changes all the time, how it works. Google just recently updated their algorithm, which means adjustments need to be made to get yourself ranked higher. I have not kept up with it, so I don't exactly know all the ins and outs, but you don't pay for it. So there's that.
It's looking at data as a finite thing. Once you have it, you have it. And that's not how data works. You can look at someone's trending history of what they're buying and what they're selling over time, and that information has more value than just my name, my address, and my phone number.
Right, because the companies already have it. Google, Facebook,
Facebook's given that to people for a while, yeah.
And the other thing I will say is they were saying that the bigger sellers aren't as important because they want the data for the new users, they want the subscribers. However, if it were true that they were looking for data instead of sales, which I disagree with on its face, but if that were true, my data, as somebody who's been selling for 3 years, who buys for my husband, buys for my dog, sells things all the time, I keep up with trends, I have, all this different insight, right? I'm searching for things.
You try to tweak your closet to attract more buyers.
Right.
So you're buying things that you are trying to sell at a faster pace.
Right. So I have a ton of information that they're learning from me, from my data, that they're not learning from someone who just signed up, put their name and number in, and maybe bought one item. That my data is actually more valuable than that person's. So again, even if it were true, I don't think that they would be pushing us aside because we're constantly creating more and more and more valuable data than a one-off person that they're going to get for one sale. And again, you don't get data if you don't get sales.
There's nothing to report other than the person's name that there's a user, unless they're buying things or selling things.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's there. It can sell that. Of course they can, and they will. But it's way more valuable if they make sales and they get to report that information.
That's not even counting the obvious answer of why not both. They've been doing both. Why not continue to have more sales? Because more sales is still more money.
Right.
If I add $100 million through sales, that's $100 million I didn't have.
Yeah.
Just from selling the data. I can sell the data and take in the sales, and then I'm even better off. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not one or the other. You can do both.
Right.
There's the ability to improve the platform for selling and then also sell data.
Right. So basically, all in all, is Poshmark selling your data? Yes. Yes. Unequivocally, they absolutely are selling your data. I have no question about that. Are they possibly shifting gears to try and attract more people to sell more data? Possible. But I think they're probably shifting gears to attract more people to come on the platform to give more buyers to the brand closets that they have partnered with. Because it's probably part of the deal. That seems to be more likely.
The part of the requirement is to provide the data to the brand closets, but also to attract in those customers that they are not able to obtain otherwise. So if they're not shopping on the Free People website or the Anthropology website, they want access to those buyers in addition to knowing what they're buying and why they're buying it.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm sure that there is some reasoning for that theory. However, I just don't think it holds a lot of water. I don't think it holds any water.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. However, I mean, everybody has their own opinion. That's ours. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you think that this is a theory that you believe in, I would love to hear more about it in your perspective. Keep the discourse civil as we always say, but definitely talk about it in the comments. But finally, our official thoughts on why we think Poshmark is doing this.
I think that it's sheer human stupidity and just an accident that they don't have the ability to fix right now. I think that somewhere in the code they tweak something that they have not yet accounted for because they're trying to attract the brand closets and more users, and they've tweaked things and they don't know why it isn't working how they wanted it to work.
Can I use you as an example because I love you so much?
I guess.
So basically what I think is my lovely husband sometimes gets very excited about doing a lot of things, and he does all of the things, but he doesn't do any of them right. You all know this, right? You've got somebody in your life that does this, right? this is what Poshmark did. Poshmark said, I want to make the brand closets happy, and I want to change the search so relevant is better, and I want the shareholders to be happy, and I want to collect data, and I want to do all the things. I want to do it all right now. And then they did none of it correctly. And now they have to kind of go through and finish all of the tasks that they meant to finish originally to get it back on track. That's kind of what I think. Now, do I think they did this maliciously? No, I don't. I still love Poshmark. I'm frustrated by their lack of transparency. I'm frustrated with the way my sales are, but I think that they just, didn't do it correctly, and they're trying to clean it up, but it's not as easy as we all would like to think it is. It's not a flip of the switch.
I think they stumbled looking at the clouds and looking at their, like they were looking up in the sky at what could be, and they tripped and fell over a little bit. And
so let's give them some grace. Let's be patient and hope that it works out. And also remember that their goal may not be ours. So when it all is said and done, it may not be exactly what we want. At the end of the day, I think it was a mistake. I think it's going to get fixed. I just don't know what fixed means. So that is my thoughts.
Fixed for them does not mean fixed for us.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And you have to do what's right for your business, whether that's cross list or try different titles or work things out until you are back to where you want to be.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, guys, when you're reading theories on the internet, even if you're listening to us, remember that we are all just giving our opinions. None of us have an inside scoop, even if we say we do. I know I don't. Maybe the people out there do, but unless you've gotten solid information that's inside scoop, take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah. I mean, that's like that in everything on the internet, not even just in the reselling world, but just take everything with a grain of salt.
What are you talking about? The internet never lies to you. Never. So anyway, those are our thoughts. I think we've covered it quite a bit. We've talked it over and beat it to death.
I think so. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you did, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with us, also let us know in the comments. I would love to have a discussion with you all. So that is everything we have. We will be back really soon with a new video.
Thank you all for watching.